Welcome everyone, it's Unstoppable Streletsy with yet another Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition caster game. Today we got ourselves the Dutch versus the Germans. Before we see this match, let's look at the map real quick and see what sorts of stuff is going to determine this ranked 1 versus 1. So, one thing you'll notice on this map is the nice trade route up here in the north. If you want some trading posts, you're going to have to travel a little bit farther away for it. In general, the hunts are pretty sparse on this map. You got a lot of them over here. You can of course grab the ones around your base. The biggest site of this map of course is the Shaolin and as well as the Tengri native settlements, so grab lots of those as well. That could be really helpful to you. Let's see how this match goes. This should be a really fun one. So, over here we got the Germans under Tsuzuki or whatever. Basically, the Germans have a bunch of tricks up their sleeve. The biggest thing you'll notice with the German civ is their war wagons. They basically work like two settlers in one. They cost about 2 population, but they got the gather rate of about 2 settlers together. Really powerful units. They also build really fast too. Just see how quick they built that market right there. And basically with Germans, you got a couple of different play styles. They're really good with mercenaries since they get a lot of mercenary shipments, as well as the mercenary camps feature if they want to send that card. They also can play very aggressive since all their cards come with free Uhlans, which are low HP, high attack cavalry, which are great for raiding. So Germany is always on the attack move usually, trying to get in there and snag a kill here and there. On the other side though, we got the Dutch. The Dutch on the other hand are a very different civilization. In general, the Dutch play a lot more turtle-like. They're very defensive, and that's for a very particular reason. See, they get these very expensive buildings, about 350 on the food and 350 on the wood, called a bank. These banks trickle coin, and you'll notice here even their villager, the merchant, also costs coin. So basically they use these banks to really supercharge their economy and allow them to keep training their villagers further. And this also means that the Dutch are one of the few civs where they're actually going to start mining at the start of the game just so they can keep a solid villager queue going. And with Dutch, they can actually play mercenary as well because they get a lot of coin to do so. They also get some cards that benefits mercenaries as well. And even if they don't want to go mercenaries, go in Vulture, their one-pop dragoon unit as well as their skirmisher is also a pretty decent play as well. But they can go hussar, they can go halberdier, which they get at the royal guard status level. So there's all kinds of different ways you can use the Dutch effectively with their strong ego. But in general, they're going to want to turtle up. For its terms of deck here, we see 3 merchants, a pretty standard card I would say. You got the Team House of Nassau, ships, a market wagon, Explorer Age market improvements are free. That's a pretty good technology actually. You will probably see that at some point. Probably as the second shipment. Also we got all the standard Dutch shipments here. Normally you would go to 700 wood, followed by a bank wagon. And then from there, you would either ship in some hussars, maybe a little bit more wood if you wanted to go aggressive. And then, of course, you got the Royal Decree here, Religious Freedom. This is a really important card for Dutch since it improves their bank build limit by 2, allowing them even more coin economy. At the cost, of course, of their units becoming a little bit slower, but usually it's better to have 2 banks and have slightly slower moving units, honestly. I don't call that a disadvantage at all, really. Now, they're aging up with the Quartermaster. This is always the standard age up for not only Dutch, but other civs as well. It gives you about 400 wood, which you can put right into banks. You can build a barracks with it, a trading post. Gives you a lot of flexibility. As for Germany, what are they aging up? Quartermaster as well. Good choice. If Germany plans at all to go aggressive here and put down a stable for some Uhlans, or put down a barracks for some crossbowmen or pikes, that's a great option. Or they can even use it to put up some defenses and go for a fast fortress as well, which is a popular strategy for Germany. Yeah, I mean, looking at this deck, they totally could go fast fortress since they got some mercenary shipments, war wagons, skirms, everything for that. Or they could decide to stick it out in Age 2 and start going in aggro with these crossbows or Yuans. Either way, they look like they're in pretty good shape to go for something.
Bereit.
Notice here, this card here, 2 settler wagons. This is actually a really powerful starring shipment for Germans, since it basically equates to almost 4 villagers instead of 3, since, as you know, a settler wagon gathers as good as 2 settlers pretty much. Really is a good shipment. And then they can do it again in Age 2, and they even got this one here, which amounts again to like 6 villagers. With Yuans too, as an add-on to it, so it's German shipments are generally pretty good, and as a result of that, they arrive a bit slower. They have a bit of a higher experience costs than standard civs, just to keep it a bit balanced. They applied the same thing actually to the Austro-Hungarian civ in Wars of Liberty, but it made it even more expensive of a shipment, just because they give you hussars instead of Yuans, which have more HP. But luckily for D, you got the Yuan, so the cost doesn't have to be as high. That being said, it looks like Germany's going maybe for a fast fortress, or they're going more for a boomy start. We see about 3 settler wagons. This is going to be a really good speed up to their economy. We also see a church going up. So this means acquisition of royal decree technologies. Also means a trickle of experience from the church itself. I wonder what strategy they're going for here exactly. We also see steel traps coming out. This will help with the hunting gathering. They already got the hunting dog from that market they built at the start. Now with the steel traps, their hunting economy is going to be peak. Of course, without cards to add on top of it. So yeah, this Germany is going to be doing really well when they get these settler wagons on top of these hunts right here. They're going to be pulling in lots and lots of food. Now, what are the Dutch going to do? What's their strategy? So, it looks like for the Dutch, they are going to probably be playing defensive from the way I see these banks position. But that doesn't mean they can't go for a bit of aggression themselves with their hussar shipment. These hussars are going to look around the map, see maybe if they can slice down a settler, even better a settler wagon. Yeah, in general, if you take down a settler wagon as an enemy, you've done really well for yourself, since that's basically like killing 2 villagers instead of 1. Also, you can't really train more settler wagons until Age 3 with a very particular card, the Germantown Farmers. So, if you lose settler wagons now, it's really a big loss that you can't recover from till later in the game. That being said, Germany gets their own free cavalry, the Uhlans here, which, if they can catch up with these hussars, could help defend the base a bit. Oh no, this is very bad. This is very bad hunt placement here. These hussars are gonna oh no, look at that. He's gonna get the other one too, and he's probably gonna get the other one. Wow, the 4 villagers dead. 4 villagers dead. And now, he's gonna probably engage with, is he gonna engage with the Uhlans? Or is he gonna, I would engage with these and try to take them out, maybe. But see, here's the problem. The Uhlans are going to snare you, or they could snare you, and their high attack is just going to eat through your HP more. But it looks like they didn't, yeah, well, they actually decided to regroup into 4 between the 2 shipments, and now they're going to be able to pursue these hussars no problem. Also, it looks like the Dutch are going to get the Wargelders shipment here. This grants them some Swiss pikemen. And with these Swiss pikemen, they will be able to kill any Uhlans that come near their base, prevent them from suffering the same fate as they inflicted on their enemy. And another cool thing the Wargelders card does is it basically allows you to train Swiss pikemen not only from the tavern, but also the barracks, making it a permanent part of your roster, and actually makes them slightly cheaper in coin as well, giving you another really good anti-cavalry option. Now, I don't think you can train them until Age 3 because they are an Age 3 mercenary, but it's really neat to have such a strong mercenary unit, even as a shipment this early in the game. to prevent a lot of aggression from cavalry, especially from Germany, who gets them for free. So it looks like in general, Dutch are playing really defensive here, very turtle-like, because they know, hey, if I can wall up with my banks, my houses, and stop the Uhlans from getting in, I'm going to have a really, really insane resource count by age 3, and then Germany's not going to be able to deal with that. Because while Germany does good with their mercenaries in terms of shipments and stats, Dutch really outdoes them in terms of output of mercenaries, meaning how easily they're able to train them. Because for Germany, they have to be really fortunate to have a lot of settler wagons on top of a mine to keep mercenaries coming out. For Dutch, all they have to do is just plop the banks down and the rest is history. That's all they have to do. In fact, the Dutch are already aging up with the bishop. They're going to begin amalgamation, which is going to help their mining rate. They're also going to ship in their second wood card too, to improve their defenses even more. Or possibly, how many banks do they got right now? About 3? That could equate to another bank. You can get up to, I believe, about 5 banks. Yep, you can get it up to 5 banks without additional cards. With additional cards, though, between Bank of Rotterdam and Amsterdam, which they don't have, you can get up to about 7 banks, and then with the Royal Decree, you can get 9 banks. And then again, in Imperial Age, you can get up to 11 banks, which is really, really exceptional. You know, it really is a good strategy to go for when you're the Dutch. Now, the Swiss pikemen do have to be careful with the war wagons, since they do exert a lot of range attack. As you see here, about 42 range attack. If it was just the Uhlans, they'd be having a field day. Well, they're actually going to stop and try to force those back, because they can. They killed actually about 2 of the Uhlans, which is not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah, they're going to kill another Uhlans. Notice how it only takes 2 thrusts of those pikes to kill off Uhlans. That's how low their HP is when it comes to dealing with heavy inf. Really not good for that purpose. You really should have just been using the war wagons for that, because they actually get a bit of hand armor here too, so they're a bit more impervious to Swiss pike attacks. Uhlans, on the other hand, they only got pierce armor, so for them, they fall flat on their face when they're dealing with pikemen of any kind, not just the Swiss ones. Now, the Germans, now that they're in age 3 themselves, with the war wagons before, now they can also ship in their skirmisher shipment. And then they can ship in more skirmishers or Uhlans, which is going to give them a really good momentum to start attacking. And they're going to want to start attacking real soon, because if you leave Dutch alone for too long, they really start to max out on those resources and really start to spam stuff. Notice here how they're going for a stable. They're going to use that stable to start making their special drag unit, the Reitar. It's weaker in terms of attack and HP, but it's only 1 population. Ooh, look at that. Germany going up with an industrial age. That's going to be really powerful, especially with the engineer. Engineer gives you about 2 falconets. That's going to be a real strong power play for Germany here, because that's actually going to give them a really good unit for sieging, as well as blasting apart infantry. And that's going to leave Dutch in a really weird situation here. What you should do is Dutch. Get a tavern down and make some mercenaries. You're floating a lot of coin, my man. Look at all that coin. Almost 2k coin. You could really use some like mercenary units here, because as Dutch, making mercenaries is like second nature, since you have so much of that money flowing out of the banks. But it looks like for right now they're just going to use the Reiters. Well, they got through some of the units, but unfortunately they got skirmishers still, so those riders are not going to last very long. They're going to switch it up to hussars now, since they only have 1 more wagon left, and to me that's a pretty good choice. Now, how are they going to deal with these Uhlans and the other skirmishers that are coming in? That's going to be an additional problem to deal with. Do they have more shipments? Well, they got a halberdier shipment. That's my guess for the next one. Just make some halberdiers to deal with the Uhlans, perhaps. You're going to want to target the skirmies here, just so you can leave the Uhlans isolated, and then just thrust your way through them. And that should Yeah, see, this is the thing. If you're Dutch right now, all you really have to do is get the pressure off your neck right now. You can get the pressure off of yourself. You can give yourself the time you need to start using all that coin that you acquired throughout the... Oh wow, they're going for the Blue Guards. Nice. Nassau Regiment. Gives you musket arm Blue Guards from the homeland, enables them at forts. That is pretty good. That's really going to help them out a lot. See, the great thing about musketeers is, not only are they good against cavalry, but they can also shoot as well. So if the musketeers can get into range of the skirms, they can actually target them down. That's a big if, since the skirmishers can always fight them. But in this situation, yep, wow, perfect timing. They're going to get all the shots they need into those skirms. And the riders right here in the nick of time to deal with the falconets. Oh wow, look at even the villagers are going to attack the cannons. Yeah, see, villagers actually get a multiplier against artillery, about 2x by that little cannon icon you see there. So yeah, the villagers help take down the second Falc, and now the Blue Guards here are going to have an easy time dealing with these Uhlans. Yeah, and if they want to deal with the skirms, they just have to keep walking forward and target them down one at a time. That's really about it. And then, of course, you got the town center as well, which can focus on the skirms. Okay, so I don't know what's going to happen now. This is a big iffy situation. You got a Germany that's an age ahead. But what does that really mean, though, in practice? Because these are just veteran skirmies, right? These aren't even the needle gunners, not even the guard skirmishers. So what's Germany's plan, actually, with this age advantage? Now, what they can do, probably their best bet would be to actually start shipping in these heavy cannon shipments. Gives you 1 heavy cannon and 4 free Uhlans, of course, part of the Civ bonus. That could be a decent option. You know, in fact, when I was younger, I used to always fight off against the Frederick the Great AI. He would love to spam these shipments here all the time, and I wouldn't know how to deal with them. It was really OP for me. You have to deal with masses of Uhlans with heavy cannons. But wait a minute, so it looks like Tushki's actually going to get some factories. You see robber barons coming, so that's going to grant him a factory. And then he can get another factory. So he's going to start out with economics. And that's probably the next best thing to do, because you really need to gain some sort of an advantage by going to industrial age. If you're not going to capitalize on it, just stay in age 3 and use those 2k food resources to get some units out. Right now, none of these units, the war wagons or the skirms, appear to be upgraded to their industrial age counterparts. And in fact, these Uhlans, they're not even veteran upgrade yet, so they're totally vulnerable here. Totally vulnerable. But to be fair, I guess the Dutch Hussars aren't upgrade either, so you've gotten a bit of an advantage here still against those. Yeah, what is Dutch going to do, though? They got this time to start doing some stuff. Are they going to play it purely economically? It looks like it, because we see 2 town centers here. We see TC number 3 coming up here from a covered wagon. Yep, from a covered wagon, so that's just going to build itself. What do you do after you get your 3rd TC, though? Like, what's your attack plan? Because you know the Germans are going to be attacking you now. Because they just spent a lot of their resources, and they need to come up with an attack plan themselves to kill you effectively. If you let Dutch sit there with 3 town centers and max banks, or close to max banks, you got yourself a serious problem just waiting to happen. So here comes some of those large elder Swiss pikemen for the first time from the barracks, since they're finally in age 3. And with these Swiss pikes, you're basically going to be able to deal with these Uhlans. Even the war wagons could be potentially threatened by them, and they're going to have to back off. But what do we have here? We see skirmishers caught out in the open, actually being threatened by unupgraded Uhlans. Not good. I mean, you need to come up with a solid military plan to get this threat out of your base right now. Oh yes, the Bosniaks. The Bosniaks, those are some tough units. Those will eat up these skirmishers, no problem. And what you're going to want to do right now, though, is you're going to want to target down these war wagons if you're going to go for the Bosniaks, because you only get one batch of them, so make it count. Make it count pretty much. And what else is Germany doing? So Germany is going for skirmishers, war wagons, Uans, and they're configuring their factory to heavy cannons. So they're going for the artillery production option. And that should allow them to blast through these blue guards, no problem. Once you start getting those heavy cannons out... Oh, and they actually went for factory number 2, which is also going to make heavy cannons. That is going to basically be fatal. Dutch does not have a strong enough military to deal with heavy cannons right now. They just don't have that mass. If they had some culverins and maybe some masses of hussars or something, yeah, maybe they could deal with heavy cannons. But right now, when Germany clearly has the military advantage of both dragoons and skirmishers, that makes it really hard for you to threaten those heavy cannons when they deploy. You need some really strong culverin mass to deal with that, which you really do not have the resources for right now. I think a little bit earlier we saw them floating on a lot of coin and they could have gone some of those culverins, but of course they were dealing with other problems. You know, it's a very daunting situation when you got many different unit types attacking you at all at once. You know, there's some people that like to attack with like one unit class, like I'm going to go straight up musketeer, I'm going to go straight up hussar. And sometimes that does work out, but what can be really painful sometimes is when you have 3, 4, 5 different unit tags working in tandem with each other, because you freak out your opponent wondering, how am I going to counter this army? They literally got everything except the kitchen sink, and it becomes really hard to deal with. So I feel like at this point, Dutch have basically expended all their potential avenues out of this mess right now, and they're going to have to resign any second. These heavy cannons with their high damage, they're going to blast their way through these banks no problem. And they're no longer going to provide you that defense and economy that you really need anymore. See, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're going to try to hit them with hussars, but they're unupgraded hussars. How much spikes of that saber can you really think you're going to get to take those things down? Not a lot, I mean. Yeah, they're doing damage, but they don't have the veteran upgrade, so even this one that's been under pressure for a while is going to survive that. Absolutely a mess, you know? Yep, GG. GG, Ollie. I mean, that was a good start, I feel like. You actually got some great gains there at the start by killing settler wagons, but you just didn't capitalize on it. You didn't say, okay, I'm going to go in H3, I'm going to mass a bunch of veteran skirms with riders, and I'm going to get my mass up. You went in with those units, but you put them on the front lines too quickly, and they ended up getting sliced and diced by all these nasty German attacking units. So you gotta make sure you get a bit of a mass there if you're gonna attack, otherwise it just falls apart. Now, it looks like Tushki actually did a really good job economically, which is really impressive since he did get to the industrial age. Which, you know, normally that would prevent you from booming a bit, since of course that cuts down on your villager queue time. Also, they lost a lot of settler wagons, so the fact that they were able to reach that economic peak, really, really impressive stuff. Militarily, Dutch had some early advantages, but by the time at the end of the game, Germany quickly caught up with just more units in general. You know, lots of skirms, lots of war wagons, lots of U-1s. So, that was actually a really good 1 versus 1. It's a good show of why when you go for successful raids, you need to follow up with that. And if you're a victim of a raid, you got options. You know, you can go for a fortress age, get some good shipments, or you can even go to industrial age and get factories to make up for your villager loss. Possibilities are endless. Hope you enjoyed that one. I'll see you in the next cast game we do. Signing off now. Adios.